Welcome to the Trading Lounge and the Day Ahead Report, and here we're looking at the S&P 500 on a 4-hour chart. So we're still in the same boat, and it's been some time now, but we're still within this wave 4 here, and we're looking for a push higher. We haven't, as a wave 4, we'll be looking for a wave 5 higher than the wave 3 here. That actually occurred on the Dow Jones futures, not the cash, but it is a lead, so we need to take that in caution, and saying that this particular move up here is also in nice clean 5 waves actually. So that could actually be a truncated 5th wave here and have the top of the market there. But I believe that we probably count better as up for wave 1 and back for wave 2, and then moving up for wave 3 and 4 and 5, moving up through here further. So look, it's in a nice trend channel. It's above our support, so it remains intact for the impulse wave to the upside. So we haven't seen any breakdown as yet, so we need to stay with the trend as such. This is it looking at a 1-hour chart. So from this point here, we can see that we've got our A and our B and our C wave down through to here, and we do have an impulse wave, 5 waves to the upside here. Should be able to count that. So this move down through here would be looking at that coming back at 61.8%. Do I have a smaller chart of that? Not on me there, but would be looking at a 61.8 retracement level from here, which would give us where we are now basically, but we've also got this trend line coming through here as well. So we really need to see if this is going to be, this move coming down through here is going to be in 3 waves or 5 waves. 5 waves would be an impulse wave, and if it is 5 waves moving down through here, then we'll get 3-wave counter trend and then another 5 down through here, and that wouldn't be a good look. But if it can maintain in 3 waves down through here, it needs to stay above the 1450. That's the bottom line with it. And here's the Dow Jones on a 2-hour chart, and you can see here that the high here made a new high here on the futures market across here. It didn't do that on the cash market. It stayed lower on the cash market. So that's why it's kind of interesting to consider this the 5th wave up through here, and so we just need to be a little bit sort of cautious about that. But once again too, we need to stay with the trend, and we know our support is the 13.5 there, so a move under that would have either a top in place or a larger correction unfolding to the downside. So, but everything still remains positive, even though that we haven't really moved further higher in any great moves. And after the other QE2s, the QE1, the QE2 that they've had, after those, we've normally seen a bear market come after those. So, I am cautious, and so we just be a bit aware of that. And we do wonder what other news is going to come through now, because everything's sort of booked in now. You know what I mean? And so, we're not seeing any large trades, large volumes move in as such. It's the same for the European markets as well. You can see that the DAX here is from its low, from this point here, because this would be the A, the B and the C down to here, a bit rough looking, but good corrective pattern, I guess. But the 5 waves up is a bit easier to count: the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4 and the 5. So that's going to unfold either back down here as an A and a B and a C wave back through here, maybe the 7-4, or back into here somewhere, and we'll see how it sits from that level there. But we could certainly end up with a bigger correction through here as well. So we can't really expect too much on the upside here for the short term there. The Australian market, I've seen this as a wave 4 through here. I thought, this was the A, the B and the C for the wave 4 here. This move up through here, it counted quite nicely as a B wave actually, and that became more apparent as the market unfolded. And then we've got our 5 waves down for the C wave here, but it's still in the wave 4, and we've got this move up through here. Not a very clear impulse wave, and bit sort of overlapping and so forth, but that's what you can get when you're around large numbers like 4,400. So is this up for wave 1 and an A, B, C back for wave 2, and then looking for a 3rd wave up? That's what we're kind of looking for. Let's just see how it sort of pans out. Getting support on any of these levels here, 41 would be a good place to scale into if you've got retested support on it. Not just enough to shoot up, but when it comes back, it's got to find support on it, and the same with the 2. So you should be able to step up through there if that's the case, and if it doesn't, well then it doesn't, and you don't go long while you're below the 4,400 because it's the risk is much higher. But look, anyway, it's a corrective pattern, and it should push up higher. So let's have a look at commodities. Okay, looking at gold here. Everything's occurred pretty much on track as we were looking at the corrective pattern across the 772 area here, the subgroup 2 area, our A and our B and our C correction here, and almost like stock as well, we've got the 1, the 2, the 3rd wave, the 4th and the 5th wave up through there, a little bit dodgy, but basically it's done the same thing as the Dow Jones, so we know that this market is following the indices. Let's just see what occurs next. Let's see if this is either the top of the 5th wave here, or we're actually going to be up for 1, back for 2, and up for 3, 4 and 5 to the upside there. So basically, if this market, takes the low of this out, then we've got a bearish pattern or a larger pattern to the downside, which is really quite on the cards too, because when we have a look at the bigger picture here, the daily chart here, we are expecting a little 5th wave high up here for the top of the 3rd anyway. So yes, another move back to 1750. If it drops out of the subgroup 2, well then you'll see it back at the 1750. Otherwise, we'll be looking at a little 5-wave structure up, just poking its head above the 1800 here. The copper market's pretty much the same as well, with resistance at the 380 here, and also in the materials sector as well. When we start looking at BHP as well, we start to see resistance for those stocks there as well. So if we just have a look at BHP on the local market this time, this is a weekly chart, and this is at $34 here. You can see that this was the support here. We've had the move through, and this is the retest back up through here. And so far, this retest is in 3 waves through here, so it can be viewed as a corrective move. So until this 34 becomes the support, a good solid sort of retesting support on the 34 here, then it's at risk of failing at that price, that point. So you don't have a point to work to so far. So, but just watch this develop here. It's either going to fail or it's going to get support. And if it does get support, then you can go along from that point, and that will obviously see the material sector push to the upside. US BHP is pretty much the same boat as well, but just working with the $72 here, and we're still seeing the arrival, still in the reaction stage for this one here. So we haven't seen a solid retest of this, on the second leg of this just yet, but anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. If this ever becomes support as well, then we'll be looking for more upside then, and as that unfolds, this will be unfolding at the 3.8 here as well. So we're still looking for a wave 4 in here as such, which can pull back further in through here. So the 38.2 retracement levels a bit closer in down here, so it can unfold down as well, which would place pressure on the material sector across the board there. So we're not going to see any strong upside in the base metals or that resource sort of sector there. So we just need to be careful about that, and so just keep an eye on that. The oil market's pretty much doing what we expected it to do in terms of just bouncing off the 90, which is normal, and we're looking for a wave 4 to come into play here. Now, this little wave 4 here, as it stands so far, it actually looks impulsive. So that means that if it's an impulsive wave, it will be either labelled as wave 1, but more likely an A wave, a B wave, and then a C wave coming a bit higher through here. If it finds support on the 93, then it's going to retest the 95, and that's kind of important because it's the midpoint between the 90 and the 100 here, and support back up on the 95, sitting at support here, would be a bullish act, but while it's under the 95 as it is, then the bias is bearish, but we just need to see a failed retest, either a failed retest of the 95 or in the pivot of group 1 here, the 1, 2 and 3 here, if the price price gets stuck under the 92 there and can't get back up, then it will be a part of the 90 story at that stage, and it will finish its further decline through there. But that little rally there took the same shape as the Dow Jones and so forth. There's a small little sort of impulse wave up there, but it does appear to be an impulse wave. So we're either going to get a more complex correction here, or we would also have to count this as a little bit different down here. We would have to count this as from this point here, we'd have to count that as wave 1 to here, the wave 2 here, that would be this one here, this would be the wave 3 to here, the 4 would be to here, and then a 5-wave sequence down here for 5 here, and then we'd be looking for a 61.8 retracement level back up through to this point here. So we would be looking higher up into the supply area through here. So that's why the 95 would be important as well. So let's just allow that to play out a little bit. Let's just see how this wave 4 pans out first. Let's have a look at the currencies, and starting with the US dollar, because they're obviously driving the commodities as well. Okay, with the US dollar, I just wanted to sort of relabel the wave count here, because we're still above the 79 rather, and we haven't had a good solid retest of the 80 here. Before we had this as this B wave here over here, and then the C wave up over here as the top of the wave 4 correction retesting the 80, and that could still possibly be right. However, it could just expand one more time as well, in terms that we'll get the C wave coming through here in 5 waves, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves coming up through here as a retest up here, and then failing from that point there. We've seen that on the Australian dollar not so long ago, actually, when we have a look at the Australian dollar coming back over here somewhere, just here actually. So it was like this little correction just here. See, at the moment we thought that we had the A, the B, and the C to here. Then the correction got bigger again, as down to here as a B, and then up for the C here. So basically, we had this as the A, B, C, and then suddenly the whole thing just got much bigger through here. So this is a 2-hour chart. When we're looking at the dollar here, we're on a 1-hour chart here, but it'd be the same picture. So you can look at this yourself, but a bit later. So I'm just putting this up here because if we don't get any strength in the other markets, then we'll be seeing this push up through here. It's only when this correction is finished that we're going to see move up in the other currency pairs and the indices as well. So we're just sort of working with this. Once it moves under the 79 here, then we know where we are. But it hasn't it hasn't finished yet. It hasn't broken through here. So we need to consider a larger ABC correction back up here, which would be a fuller picture, which would also relate to wave 4 as well, because wave 4s are complicated and they are time consuming because they need to unravel the emotional sort of powerhouse of the third wave, so to speak. So, with all humans, if we have a shock, it just takes us longer to recover, and that's pretty much what a wave 4 is, really. And it hasn't sort of unwound it all just yet. So, a bit more time there, but obviously that's going to cause a bit of problems for the other markets to push up. So when we're looking at the euro, for instance, once again, it's had its nice big third wave up through here, and it is possible to call that in here as the ABC for the 4th wave here. I just think it's too simplistic. I think that there's going to be more to it, and we need to prepare for that as well. So let's just see how we go with that. There's nothing, it doesn't have support on the 130 yet, so there's no point in going long at that stage if it occurs. We also need the S&P 500 to push up as well. We also need the US dollar to push down as well, and while it's above the 79, then it prevents us from going long to the upside. So don't get yourself into trouble in this area through here. The Australian market has probably got the one of the best possibilities of moving higher, in terms of we are working the Elliott wave is important because it can give us direction. But we also need to have know what price we're working from as support, so we can manage the risk properly. And in finding that support, we want to be working with the closest, largest number, and it's always really been the 105. And we can see that the market is moving across the 105, and that's what I mean, swinging across it and doing its correction and things. So this whole pattern could be corrective. Still more corrective to go in terms of an A and a B and a C wave across here before we see support and going to the upside. So just be a little bit careful about what you do at this stage here. But if it's labelled as such like this, where we've got the A and the B and the C down through here, then this move up through here can be counted as 5 waves, but it could be just the A wave and a B wave and a C wave through here, and then another 5 waves to the downside. So be very careful about this. But what we would be looking for next would be support on the 105. If that can find support on there, and tested nice solid support, then we can look at scaling in and going long from that point there. But do bear that in mind. To me, this is just possibly the first swing below the level, and 5 is the second strongest number, and it always delivers. It's a sticky number, so I just don't think it's said and done just yet. So there's plenty of time to go long on this, but just be a little bit patient with it. Alrighty, well that's it. And look, as you know, the markets are pretty flat, and there's not a lot that you can do except just sort of stand aside and wait for supports to come in, and then move off those. And hopefully that's what we'll see this week. We'll see a bit of a push this week to the upside. I'm not sure of the catalyst that will drive that. There's lots of news events coming out sort of much later in the week this week. They normally come out on Thursdays, but from Wednesday, building on Wednesday and Thursday, and more on Thursday. But this week it's sort of building on Thursday and more coming out on the Friday. So have a look at those stories. But yeah, that's it really. So good morning and good luck. Cheers.